Today, we're diving into one of the most epic quests in human history, the creation of artificial intelligence. Now, this isn't just a story about code and computers. Oh no. It's a tale that stretches back almost 3,000 years. A story about our biggest ambitions, our most ancient myths, and our relentless desire to build a mind in our own image. This quote from Santayana really nails it. Because if we want to have any chance of navigating the future of AI, a future that's showing up faster than any of us expected, we have to understand its past. It's this incredible story of vision, of bitter disappointment, and ultimately of breakthroughs that are changing our world right now. So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the ancient myths, the very first dreams of artificial life. Then, we'll see how AI was born as a real science and how it immediately split into two different philosophies. We'll survive the long, harsh AI winters, witness the explosion of the deep learning revolution, and finally, look at where we are today, staring at an unwritten future that we all have a stake in. Okay, so our story doesn't begin in some high-tech lab. It begins in our imagination. Long before we ever had a computer, the dream of artificial beings was already very much alive in our myths and our legends. That's right. We're talking 2,700 years ago, with the ancient Greek poets Homer and Hesiod. They were already writing about a world where gods and humans would interact with intelligent, man-made creations. This wasn't science, not yet, but it planted a seed, an idea that would turn out to be one of the most powerful in human history. And you know, what's so fascinating is that these weren't just simple stories of wonder. They were often warnings. You had the Greek god Hephaestus, who could forge these incredible mechanical servants, but he also created Pandora, an artificial woman designed to bring punishment to humanity. From the giant bronze robot Talos to the golems of Jewish folklore, our ancestors were already wrestling with the dual nature of it all, the incredible promise and the terrifying peril of creating minds that aren't human. For centuries, that dream stayed right there, in the realm of myth. But then, in the middle of the 20th century, something shifted. Logic, mathematics, these fields gave the ancient dream a foundation to become a real science.
And things happened fast. It really started with Alan Turing and his theoretical Turing machine, which basically proved that pure logic could be computed. Then the first real digital computers started to hum and whir. But the real spark, the moment it all came together, was in 1956 at the Dartmouth Conference. That's where the term artificial intelligence was officially born. All of it fueled by this incredibly bold idea that every single aspect of intelligence could, in theory, be simulated by a machine.
But here's the thing. As soon as AI became a real field of study, it split in two. A huge debate kicked off that would shape AI research for the next 50 years. It was really a battle between two totally different ideas about how you even build an intelligent mind.
People called it the neats versus the scruffies. On one side, you had symbolic AI, the neats. They believed you could build intelligence from the top down, with formal logic and symbols. Think of it like a giant, perfect library, where every single rule for thinking is meticulously written out and cataloged. And on the other side, you had the connectionists, the scruffies. They said, no, intelligence has to emerge from the bottom up, just like it does in the brain. Their big idea was the neural network, a web of simple, connected nodes that could learn from experience. Kind of like our own neurons do.
And for a while, both camps had their wins. The symbolic neats, they built these amazing expert systems. These were AIs that could do things like diagnose diseases just by following this massive, pre-programmed library of rules. Meanwhile, the connectionist scruffies were tinkering away, first with an early artificial neuron called the perceptron, and later with a learning technique called backpropagation. They were quietly laying the groundwork for a revolution that was still decades away.
But the road ahead was anything but straight. The history of AI is famously cyclical. It's a story of seasons, these periods of wild optimism and hype followed by these crushing busts known as the AI winters.
In the early 80s, we had an AI spring. Those expert systems were a huge commercial success, and money just poured into the field. But the hype got way ahead of the actual technology. Promises were broken. Progress seemed to grind to a halt and poof, the funding vanished. The second AI winter hit hard. Over 300 AI companies went under. The whole field just became a joke. And then, a thaw. In 1997, IBM's Deep Blue beat the world chess champion Garry Kasparov. It was this huge symbolic moment, proving a machine could actually master a game of pure human strategy.
This quote tells you everything you need to know about how bad that winter got. The term artificial intelligence itself became so toxic, so radioactive, that scientists literally had to call their work something else, anything else, just to get it funded. But you know what they say about winter? Spring eventually comes. And in AI, it came as this spectacular, almost violent explosion of progress. All that patient work, mostly from the connectionist scruffies, was finally about to pay off. And it was all thanks to two things we finally had enough of: massive amounts of data and mind-boggling computing power. This is the moment everything changed. This is deep learning. It finally unlocked the true power of those brain-inspired neural networks. The idea was to stack many layers of these artificial neurons on top of each other, making them deep, and then just flood them with data. Instead of being programmed with rules, these models just learned. They discovered patterns all on their own. It was the ultimate I told you so moment for the scruffies.
And the breakthroughs just started coming, one after another. Bang, bang, bang. 2012, AlexNet completely changes the game for image recognition. 2016, AlphaGo beats the world's best player at Go, a game that's way more about intuition than chess. By 2020, GPT-3 comes along and kicks off the whole generative AI race. And now, models like GPT-4o and Gemini can reason across text, images, and sound all at once. It's been a truly wild, breathtaking decade.
And if you want to understand the real-world impact, just think about this number: 2.2 million. That is how many new crystal structures a Google DeepMind AI recently discovered. To put that in perspective, that's like 800 years worth of human scientific knowledge, generated almost overnight. This isn't just about cool chatbots anymore. AI is now a tool that is fundamentally speeding up science itself. And that brings us right here to today. We are living in the full summer of AI. The technology is more powerful, more accessible than it has ever been. But this golden age comes with an enormous weight of responsibility. The potential for good is just undeniable. We're talking about everything from personalized medicine and discovering new scientific laws to creating educational tools that could change everything. AI really could help us solve some of the biggest challenges humanity faces. But with all that promise comes some serious peril. These systems learn from our data, so they can easily learn and amplify our worst biases. They can be used to generate fake news and propaganda on a scale we've never seen. And they force us to ask these incredibly tough questions about jobs, about who's in control, and about who's accountable when things go wrong. These aren't sci-fi problems anymore. They are here and now challenges we have to face. This quote from some of the world's leading AI researchers really gets to the heart of it. The message is clear. We need to proceed with caution. We need to be good stewards of this technology and make damn sure that we are the ones in control of what we're creating and not the other way around. So, after a 2,700-year journey, here we are. The dream of artificial minds is no longer a myth, it's a reality. The big question has shifted. It's not if we can build them anymore, it's how we should build them. Who gets to decide what values they have, what kind of world they help create? That is the great unwritten challenge that's been left for all of us.
We'll leave you with that to think about. If you want to keep exploring these huge questions that are going to define our future, please make sure to subscribe to the HowAI channel.
Thanks so much for joining us on this journey. And, as always, stay curious.